The Prometheus engine was 93% complete when Dr. Marcus Webb discovered the fatal flaw. He sat alone in his quarters, staring at equations that had taken him 6 months to verify. Around him, the construction site hummed with activity. Millions of beings from hundreds of species worked in perfect coordination, building humanity's defiant answer to entropy. But Marcus's hands were shaking as he read the numbers again and again, hoping he was wrong. He wasn't wrong. Dr. Yuki Tanaka found him 2 hours later, still sitting in the dark. She turned on the lights and saw his face. "What is it?" she asked. Marcus looked up at her with eyes that hadn't blinked in too long. "The engine works. The math is perfect. We can harvest quantum energy, pump it into the universe, reverse entropy locally, and spread the effect across the entire galaxy." "That's good news. It needs a pilot." Yuki sat down slowly. "Pilot? The energy flows are too chaotic, too variable. They need active management at quantum speeds, faster than any computer can process. The engine needs a consciousness merged directly with its quantum core, making decisions at the speed of thought, guiding the renewal process in real time." Marcus's voice was flat, emotionless. "It needs a human mind or something close enough woven into the quantum machinery itself. For how long? Forever. Or until the universe stabilizes enough to run automatically. Could be decades. Could be centuries. Could be never." Yuki was quiet for a long moment. "Does anyone else know?" "Just you. I was going to tell Admiral Chen tomorrow." Marcus stood up and walked to the window. Outside, the Prometheus engine stretched across space, beautiful and terrible. "I'm going to volunteer. Marcus, it has to be me. I understand the system better than anyone. I made contact with the entities. I know what we're trying to prove." He turned to face her. "And I'm not losing existence to mathematics and entropy. Someone has to tip the equation in favor of life. There has to be another way. If there was, I'd have found it. I've run every simulation, checked every alternative. This is it." Yuki stood and walked to him. She put a hand on his shoulder. "Then I'm coming with you to tell Chen. You don't get to make this decision alone." The meeting happened in Chen's ready room, with only the 3 of them present. When Marcus explained the requirement, Chen was silent for almost a minute. "No," she said finally. "It's not your choice," Marcus replied. "Like hell it isn't. I'm in command of this operation. I decide who—" "Sarah." Marcus used her first name, which he rarely did. "We both know I'm right. We both know this is the only way. You can either let me volunteer or you can order me to do it. Either way, the result is the same." Chen slammed her hand on the desk. "I am not sacrificing my people to what? To save reality? That's literally what we're here for." Marcus leaned forward. "Every being working on this engine knows the stakes. We're fighting entropy. We're trying to prove to cosmic forces that existence matters. If that doesn't require sacrifice, then nothing means anything. There are 4 billion humans in this galaxy. Why does it have to be you? Because I'm the one who figured it out. Because I'm the one who talked to the entities. Because I'm the one who can actually do it." Marcus smiled, but it was sad. "And because someone has to be first. Someone always has to be first." Chen looked at Yuki. "Talk him out of this." "I can't, he's right." Yuki's voice was thick. "I ran his calculations. I checked his work. The engine needs active consciousness at its core, and Marcus is the only one who understands the system well enough to guide it." Chen closed her eyes. When she opened them again, she looked older. "How long do we have?" "The engine will be ready to activate in 72 hours, Marcus said. "We need to integrate the consciousness core before then." "And the entities? Are they still watching?" "Always. They're curious now. They want to see if we can actually do this. They want to know if consciousness fighting for survival is stronger than entropy running its course." Chen stood up and walked to her viewport. In the distance, she could see the memory arcs of the elder species, ready to outlast the universe. Closer, the Prometheus engine glowed with the combined hope of 1,000 species. "I want it on record that I hate this plan," she said. "Noted," Marcus replied. "And I want you to know that if you find a way to come back from this, I expect you to take it." "I will." Chen turned around. "Then get it done. And Marcus, thank you for everything." The next 72 hours moved like a dream. Marcus worked with the Cognate Collective to design the integration process. It would be gradual, they explained. His consciousness would spread across the quantum framework, piece by piece until he existed in the engine as much as in his body. Eventually, his body would become unnecessary, and his mind would be the engine. "Will I still be me?" he asked. "That is unknown," the cognate representative transmitted. "You will be more than you are now, but that does not mean you will be less yourself. You will be Marcus Webb, expanded." On the final day, Marcus said his goodbyes. He recorded messages for his family back on Earth. He shared drinks with colleagues who had become friends. He spent an hour with Yuki, not talking, just sitting together watching the stars. "I'm scared," he admitted. "Good. Only idiots aren't scared of something like this." Yuki handed him a data chip. "I compiled all your favorite music, books, and movies. When you're in there alone, you'll want something familiar. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just don't forget us. Don't forget why you're doing this." "I won't." The integration chamber was a sphere of quantum machinery suspended in the heart of the Prometheus engine. When Marcus stepped inside, he could feel the energy thrumming through everything. The cognate technicians began the process, and Marcus felt his thoughts starting to stretch. It didn't hurt exactly. It felt like growing, like becoming more. His consciousness began to touch the quantum foam, the virtual particles, the fundamental structure of reality itself. He could sense the entropy entities out there, vast and patient, watching to see what this tiny organic mind would do. Marcus reached out with his expanding awareness and touched the engine's core. Power flooded through him. He could feel the universe, could sense the decay, could perceive the exact ways reality was unmaking itself, and he could see how to fix it. "Integration 70%, a cognate voice said. Distant now. Marcus's body was becoming transparent, quantum states overtaking flesh. He looked through the chamber walls and saw Admiral Chen watching from the observation deck. He raised a hand in farewell, and she saluted back. Integration 90%. Marcus could barely remember what it felt like to have just one body, one location, one moment in time. He was spreading across the engine, becoming its consciousness, its will, its purpose. Integration complete. Marcus Webb's body dissolved into light and mathematics, but his mind remained vast and strange and still fundamentally human. He was the Prometheus engine now, and he could feel the energy beginning to flow. "Marcus?" Chen's voice came through the communication system. "Can you hear me?" "I can hear everything," Marcus replied, and his voice echoed from 1,000 speakers at once. "I can feel the universe. I can sense the entities. Sarah, it's beautiful and terrible, and I think we can actually do this. Then do it. Show them what humanity is worth." Marcus reached out with his vast new consciousness and activated the Prometheus engine. Energy that should not exist poured into reality. Quantum foam surrendered its secrets. Virtual particles became real. Their borrowed energy captured and deployed before the universe could balance its accounts. The effects spread from the engine like ripples in a pond. But the ripples were waves of renewed existence, of strengthened space-time, of entropy running backward. Stars that had begun to die stabilized. Space that had started to forget how to exist remembered itself again. In the spaces between dimensions, the entropy entities paused in their work. They felt the change, sensed the resistance, perceived a consciousness fighting back against the fundamental decay of all things. Marcus felt their attention focus on him like the weight of 1,000,000,000,000 suns, but he didn't flinch. He pushed harder, poured more energy into the universe, fought entropy with mathematics and stolen fire and pure human stubbornness. "Come on," he whispered to reality itself. "We're not done yet." And the universe, against all probability, began to heal. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council gleamed under artificial stars. 47 species sat in their designated seats, each representing worlds scattered across the Milky Way. Some had scales, others had fur, and a few existed as pure energy contained in crystalline shells. They had built this alliance over thousands of years, united by a simple promise: protect each other, trade fairly, and never turn on your own. Ambassador Sarah Chen stood at the human podium, a smile on her face. Today marked 50 years since humanity joined the Council, 50 years of friendship, trade, and shared battles. She remembered the stories her grandmother told her about the Crethean border conflict, when human soldiers fought alongside Council forces to push back the invasion. 20,000 humans died in that war. The Council gave them medals and called them heroes. "Thank you for welcoming us into your family," Sarah said, her voice carrying through the translation fields. "Earth and our 12 colonies are honored to stand with you. Together we are stronger." The Council members applauded politely.
High Arbiter Velthos, the ancient Korvathi who led the council, nodded his massive head.
His species had ruled space for 10,000 years before humans even discovered fire. He smiled with too many teeth. Humanity has proven valuable, Velthos said. His voice sounded like grinding stones. Your contributions are noted. Sarah felt something cold in those words, but pushed the feeling away. She was being paranoid. The council had been good to humanity. They shared technology, opened trade routes, and protected human colonies from raiders. What reason would they have to betray Earth? She didn't know that in a sealed chamber beneath the Grand Hall, 38 species were having a very different conversation. The private room had no windows. Security fields blocked all recording devices. High Arbiter Velthos stood at the center, his 3 eyes glowing with cold calculation. The human problem grows worse, he said. They breed like insects. 1 colony becomes 3. 3 becomes 10. Their scientists develop new technologies every cycle. They ask too many questions. They challenge our methods. A Vraxian delegate, its tentacles writhing nervously, spoke up. They are loyal allies. They bled for us at the border. They are useful tools, Velthos corrected. But tools can become weapons if left unattended. Look at their history. Thousands of years of constant warfare among themselves. Now they turn that aggression outward, exploring, expanding, always pushing boundaries. In another century, they will dominate council votes through sheer numbers. A reptilian Selkathi hissed in agreement. Their culture spreads like disease. Other young species adopt human ideas about democracy, individual rights, questioning authority. It undermines the natural order. What do you propose? Asked a crystalline Vecthar. Velthos displayed a hologram. It showed human colony ships, trade routes, and military positions. We frame them for an unprovoked attack. We have the technology to falsify transponder codes, plant evidence, and fabricate communications. The neutral Selkathi worlds will be the victims. We destroy several human colony ships in the process. Make it look like the Selkathi defended themselves. The evidence will be irrefutable. Silence filled the room. This was more than politics. This was planned genocide. The council will demand justice, Velthos continued. We vote to expel humanity and seize their territory for galactic security. They are too young, too scattered to resist a unified council fleet. We occupy their worlds, scatter their populations, and ensure they never threaten the established order again. Some species will object, someone noted. Let them. We have the votes. Velthos looked around the room. Those who stand with us will share in the seized territory and resources. 12 developed colonies, rich with minerals and biological diversity. Those who oppose us will be noted and excluded from the benefits. One by one, species agreed. The promise of free territory and resources was too tempting. The fear of human expansion too real. Some genuinely believed humans were dangerous. Others simply wanted the profit. A few stayed silent, their agreement implied by their presence. 9 species refused. They sent their regrets and left the chamber, wanting no part in the conspiracy. Velthos marked their names carefully. They would not be punished now, but they would remember this when the spoils were divided. When? Asked the Vraxian delegate. 3 weeks, Velthos said. Enough time to position our fleets and prepare the evidence. The humans celebrate their anniversary, fat and happy and trusting. They will never see it coming. Meanwhile, above in the Grand Hall, Sarah Chen mingled with other ambassadors. She laughed at jokes translated across species barriers. She accepted congratulations on humanity's golden anniversary. She shared stories about Earth's recovery from the environmental disasters of the 21st century. Commander Marcus Webb, captain of the human dreadnought Defiant, stood in his dress uniform nearby. He felt uneasy but couldn't explain why. Military instinct, perhaps. Something felt wrong about this celebration. Too many forced smiles. Too many council species who suddenly had urgent business elsewhere when humans approached. You feel it too? Whispered Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the quantum physics researcher who had just arrived from the science station orbiting Jupiter. Feel what? Marcus asked. Like we're being watched, studied, measured for a coffin. Marcus wanted to dismiss her paranoia, but he trusted Yuki's instincts. She had predicted 3 different pirate attacks by analyzing shipping pattern anomalies. Keep your eyes open, he said quietly. Report anything unusual. Yuki nodded and moved away, her mind already calculating probabilities and risk factors. Sarah concluded her speech and stepped down from the podium. She had no idea that in 3 weeks, Everything she believed about the Galactic Council would shatter. She had no idea that humanity's 50 years of loyalty meant nothing to species who counted time in millennia. The celebration continued late into the night cycle. Humans danced with aliens. They shared food and drink and stories. They talked about joint projects and future cooperation. And beneath it all, invisible and patient betrayal waited to strike. The colony ship Horizon's Promise carried 15,000 souls toward their new home. Families slept in cryopods, dreaming of the fresh start waiting on new Terraform 7. Children who would wake up to see trees they helped plant. Elderly couples who wanted to spend their final years under open sky instead of station corridors. Scientists eager to study an untouched ecosystem. Captain Jennifer Walsh checked the navigation systems one final time before her own cryo-sleep. The route took them through neutral space as agreed by Council treaty. 3 more weeks of travel, then paradise. She never saw the transponder modification. Sophisticated Korvathi technology had altered the ship's identification signature while docked at the Council station. Now, according to every sensor in this sector, Horizon's Promise broadcast Korvathi military codes. Enemy military codes. The Selkathi defense platforms detected the invasion force exactly as planned. Automated systems programmed to respond to threats without delay spun up weapons batteries. Targeting solutions calculated in microseconds. Horizon's Promise died without understanding why. The defense lasers cut through the civilian hull like paper. 15,000 people frozen in cryosleep never woke up. They died dreaming of their new world. 2 more colony ships suffered the same fate within hours. New Dawn and Tomorrow's Children, both full of families, both broadcasting false Korvathi codes, both destroyed by neutral defenses. 45,000 humans dead in a single day. The planted evidence activated automatically. Weapon fragments with human serial numbers materialized at the attack sites, dropped by cloaked drones. Falsified communication logs appeared in Selkathi networks, showing human commanders ordering the surprise attack. Even the bodies of the dead were contaminated with fabricated intelligence suggesting military targets rather than civilian colonies. The Galactic Council received emergency transmissions within hours. The Selkathi world, terrified and angry, demanded justice. They had been attacked without provocation. The evidence was clear. Humanity had committed an act of war against neutral space. High Arbiter Velthos called an emergency session. Every council species attended, filling the grand hall with tension and whispered accusations. Ambassador Sarah Chen rushed to the council chambers, her heart pounding. She had heard about the ships. 15,000 on Horizon's Promise alone. She knew the captain. They had shared coffee just last month, talking about Jennifer's excitement for the new colony. Sarah expected sympathy. She expected council support in investigating the tragedy. She expected her allies to help find whoever was responsible. Instead, she walked into a trial. Ambassador Chen, Velthos began, his voice cold and formal. Humanity stands accused of unprovoked military aggression against the neutral Selkathi worlds. 3 colony ships equipped with military-grade weapons and false transponders attacked civilian defense platforms. What? No. Sarah's voice cracked. Those were civilian ships. Families and children. We would never. The evidence is substantial. Velthos displayed holograms, weapon signatures, communication intercepts, transponder data. Every piece carefully crafted, perfectly damning. Sarah stared at the fabricated evidence, her mind racing. Something was wrong. Terribly wrong. This is impossible. Let me contact Earth Command. We can explain. Your communication privileges have been suspended pending investigation, Velthos interrupted. Standard security protocol for species under accusation. Accusation? Sarah looked around the chamber, seeking friendly faces. The Vraxian delegate avoided her eyes. The crystalline Vecthar turned away. One by one, her supposed allies became strangers. We have been loyal council members for 50 years. We fought beside you at the border. Perhaps that loyalty was a long deception, suggested the Selkathi ambassador, genuine pain in their voice. Their world had lost defensive platforms and personnel. They believed the lie completely. The vote came swiftly. 38 species voted to expel humanity from the Council and seize all human territory for galactic security pending investigation. Only 9 species voted against or abstained. Sarah felt her world collapse. You can't do this. We have rights under Council law. Council law no longer applies to expelled species, Velthos said. Human assets are frozen effective immediately. Human trade routes are closed. Human colonies will be occupied for their own protection and to prevent further aggression. This is the will of the Council. This is betrayal, Sarah whispered. Velthos' smile showed too many teeth. This is justice. Security protocols activated. Sarah's communication device died. Her access codes were deleted. She was escorted from the chamber by guards who had just yesterday called her friend. Commander Marcus Webb was in the middle of a routine patrol when the priority message came through. His communications officer's face went pale. Sir, we're receiving... This can't be right. What is it? We've been expelled from the Council. All human assets seized. Combined fleet heading toward Earth. ETA 72 hours. Marcus felt ice in his veins. That's impossible. On what grounds? The evidence scrolled across his screen. The destroyed colony ships. The planted weapons. The falsified communications. Marcus had studied enough warfare to recognize a setup when he saw one. It's a frame job, he said quietly. They planned this. A secondary message arrived heavily encrypted. 9 different species, the ones who voted against expulsion, had sent warnings. The messages were identical. They are coming for you. Run, hide, survive. This was decided before today. Marcus made his decision in seconds. Get me Earth Command. Full encryption, and wake up every human captain in Council space. Tell them to return home immediately. Tell them we're at war. The Defiance engines burned at maximum power, racing toward Earth. Behind them, across the galaxy, human ships received the recall order. Freighters abandoned their cargo. Research vessels left their projects. Warships broke off patrols. Every human in Council space began running for home. On Earth, the news hit like a nuclear blast. 3 colony ships destroyed, 45,000 dead, humanity expelled, enemy fleets approaching. The president addressed the world. We are betrayed. We are alone, but we are not defeated. Begin Operation Exodus. Every colony, every station, every human in space, evacuate immediately. Leave nothing behind. We take everything we can carry and disappear. Dr. Yuki Tanaka worked frantically in her Jupiter Station lab. Her quantum communication research wasn't ready. It needed years more development. But they didn't have years. They had days. Make it work, Marcus told her over the comm. Whatever it takes. We need every human ship connected, no matter the distance. We need to fight as one fleet, not scattered squadrons. It could kill me, Yuki said. The quantum entanglement process is unstable. Then save yourself first. We need you alive more than we need the technology. No, Yuki said firmly. We need this more than we need me. Get everyone clear of Council space. I'll buy us the advantage we need. She began the final sequence, pushing the experimental quantum network to its limits, knowing it might tear her atoms apart. But if humanity was going to survive this betrayal, they would need every advantage. Sarah Chen, stripped of her position and held in protective custody, stared out her cell window at the Council station. She watched human ships fleeing in every direction. She watched the betrayers preparing for their easy victory, and she began planning her message. When she finally escaped, and she would escape, she would make sure the galaxy knew exactly who had done this. Every single one of them. The knife was in humanity's back. But humans were very good at pulling out knives and returning them to their owners, with interest. The combined Council fleet arrived at Earth's solar system with 3,000 warships. Enough firepower to glass every planet twice over. They expected desperate human defense fleets. They expected orbital fortresses firing everything they had. They expected a quick, brutal victory. Instead, they found nothing. Admiral Kreth, commanding the fleet from his Korvathi dreadnought, stared at the empty displays. Where are they? No ships detected, his sensor officer reported. No weapons platforms, no defense satellites. The orbital stations are abandoned. Scan the colonies, Kreth ordered. One by one, the reports came back. New Mars empty. Europa Station evacuated. The asteroid belt mining facilities stripped bare. Every single human installation in the solar system had been abandoned. Not destroyed, not surrendered, simply left behind. Scan Earth itself. The massive planet rotated peacefully below them. Cities stood intact, infrastructure functional, but life signs were minimal. A few thousand at most, likely caretaker crews. They evacuated an entire planet. Kreth couldn't believe it. That's impossible. Earth held 11 billion people. They had 3 weeks' warning, his second officer noted, and thousands of ships. Where did they go? Nobody had an answer. Human jump signatures led in every direction, then vanished. Standard tracking couldn't follow them beyond a few light years. After that, the trails simply ended, as if humanity had learned to disappear. A single message buoy floated near Earth's moon, broadcasting on all frequencies. Kreth ordered it played. Sarah Chen's face appeared on screen. She was thin, her eyes hard. She had escaped council custody with help from the 9 loyal species. Now she spoke with quiet fury. You had 47 species in your council, 47 chances to choose honor. 38 of you chose genocide instead. You destroyed colony ships carrying families. You murdered children in their sleep. You fabricated evidence and betrayed allies who bled for you. Sarah's voice dropped to barely above a whisper. We will remember. Every single one. You will learn what humans do to those who slaughter their children. You will beg for the mercy you never showed us. And we will remind you. There were 38 who voted for this. 38 species who thought they could exterminate humanity without consequence. Her eyes blazed. Count your days. We're counting ours until we reach each of you. The message ended. Admiral Kreth felt cold despite his armored hide. Something in Sarah's voice promised horrors beyond simple war. High Arbiter Velthos addressed the council from his throne. Victory without a battle. Humanity has fled beyond our borders. Their territory is ours to divide. Let the cowards run to whatever dark corner they found. They are no longer our concern. The 38 betrayers celebrated. Fleets moved to occupy human colonies. They set up governments, claimed resources, and congratulated themselves on eliminating the threat without losing a single ship. The 9 species who had warned humanity stayed silent. They had tried to help, knowing it meant nothing to the conspiracy. Now they watched and waited, wondering if Sarah Chen's threat was empty or promise. 3 months passed. The galaxy relaxed. Trade resumed. New colonies were established on former human worlds. Slowly, life returned to normal. Then the Korvathi supply depot at Sector 4047 went dark. Not damaged, not attacked, simply gone. The entire station, along with 600 personnel and 2 million tons of military supplies, vanished from existence. Where it had been, sensors detected nothing but empty space and strange radiation. What happened? Velthos demanded. Unknown, his advisors reported. No weapon signatures. No ship traces. The station simply ceased to exist. Investigate immediately. Their research vessel arrived at the coordinates. What they found made no sense. The station hadn't been destroyed. It had been erased. The very fabric of space was wrong, twisted somehow. The star itself showed signs of instability, as if something had reached into its core and pulled. One scientist ran the calculations and went pale. Someone destabilized the star. It's going to go supernova in 3 months. That's impossible, Velthos said. No species has that technology. A message buoy appeared in Korvathi space, broadcasting the same way Sarah's had. But this time it was just text. 37 more. Panic spread through the council. 37. There had been 38 betrayers. Now there were 37 targets remaining. 2 weeks later, the Vraxian shipyards vanished. 4 massive orbital construction facilities capable of building dreadnoughts gone in minutes. Eyewitnesses reported seeing nothing. No ships, no weapons fire. One moment the shipyards existed. The next moment, twisted metal and frozen bodies floated in space. The debris field told the story. Kinetic weapons moving at 90% light speed. By the time sensors detected them, impact had already occurred. There was no defense against weapons that fast. You would never see them coming. Another message buoy. 36 more. The council emergency session was chaos. Species pointed fingers. Some demanded they negotiate with humanity. Others wanted to hunt down the human refugees and finish what they started. We cannot negotiate with terrorists, Velthos roared. We are not the victims here, said Ambassador Thek of the Yishrin, one of the 9 loyal species. We murdered their children and stole their worlds. Now they seek justice. This is not justice. This is revenge. To you there is a difference? Thek asked coldly. The attacks continued. 1 per week, like clockwork, each targeting military infrastructure, each showing technology the Council had never seen. Human ships appeared from nowhere, struck with precision and vanished before response fleets arrived. The Council tried everything. They increased patrols. They set traps. They hired the best mercenaries. Nothing worked. Humans were always one step ahead, hitting targets the Council thought impossible to reach. The psychological warfare was perfect. Humans didn't target civilians at first. They wanted the betrayers to know this was personal. This was punishment. This was 38 acts of genocide being answered in kind, one species at a time. 6 months after the betrayal, 12 of the 38 species begged for peace. Their economies were collapsing. Their military infrastructure was in ruins. They couldn't defend against an enemy they couldn't find. They sent envoys to the last known human coordinates, broadcasting surrender terms. The response came from Commander Marcus Webb himself. No, just that. No negotiations, no terms, no mercy. Why? The envoys asked desperately. We surrender. We will give you anything. You murdered 45,000 of us in our sleep, Marcus replied. You planned genocide. You voted to exterminate humanity. Now you face the consequence. We will dismantle your ability to harm anyone ever again, and then we will hold trials. You cannot win against the entire council. We don't need to win, Marcus said quietly. We just need you to lose. Count the days. We know you are. Every morning you wake up wondering if today your world goes dark. That fear? That is what our children felt when your weapons tore through their ships. Live with it. The communication ended. High Arbiter Velthos, seeing his grand alliance falling apart, made a desperate decision. If the humans wanted war, he would give them war. He would unite the Council not against humanity, but against those who harbored them. The 9 species who warned humanity are complicit, he declared. They will be punished for their betrayal of the Council. Orders went out. Fleets moved toward the 9 loyal species' homeworlds. Velthos would make an example of them, show the galaxy what happened to those who sided with humans. The first fleet arrived at the Ishran homeworld and took positions to begin orbital bombardment. Then space itself tore open. Hundreds of human ships, no longer hiding, emerged from jump points that shouldn't exist. They positioned themselves between the Council fleet and the Ishran planet. Commander Webb's face appeared on every screen in the sector. You touch them, he said slowly, and we glass every world you have ever touched. Every colony, every station, every rock with your species name on it. We will erase you from history. Admiral Kreth, commanding the fleet, calculated the odds. Hundreds of human ships using technology decades ahead of Council standard. His fleet would win, probably. But the cost would be everything. This is not your fight, Kreth said. They warned us, Webb replied. They tried to save 45,000 lives when 38 species voted for genocide. That makes them family, and we protect our family. The standoff held. Neither side moved. The galaxy watched and waited, wondering who would blink first. High Arbiter Velthos sat in his command chamber, watching reports flood in from across the galaxy. The standoff at Ishran space had lasted 3 days. 3 days of humanity's fleet protecting species that had nothing to do with them. 3 days of the galaxy watching his authority crumble. Finally, he gave the order to withdraw. The Council fleet retreated, unwilling to test humanity's threat. Velthos had blinked first. The entire galaxy knew it. But if he thought that would satisfy humanity, he was wrong. The attacks resumed within hours, more brutal than before. Humans had been holding back, showing restraint. Now they showed what they had really become during their 3 months of silence. A Korvathi mining colony woke up to find their entire defensive fleet simply gone. Not destroyed. Gone. Transported, somehow to the edge of the system where they drifted helplessly. Their fuel reserves drained. The colony received a message. You have 24 hours to evacuate. Civilian transports will not be harmed. Everything else becomes dust. True to their word, humans allowed civilian evacuation. Then the mining facility, worth trillions in resources, was reduced to atoms by weapons that tore matter apart at the molecular level. The systematic dismantling continued. Humans struck military targets with surgical precision. Supply lines collapsed. Shipyards burned. Weapons manufacturing facilities vanished. Each attack showcased technology the Council didn't know existed. Dr. Yuki Tanaka's quantum communication network had worked. Every human ship, no matter how far apart, coordinated instantly. There was no lag, no delay. They moved like a single organism, striking from multiple directions simultaneously, and they had stopped showing restraint on their military technology. The weapons and ships humans had used in council service were toys compared to what they deployed now. Clearly, humanity had been holding back for 50 years, showing only what they needed to maintain the alliance. Now the gloves were off. Drone swarms, guided by artificial intelligence that made Council AI look primitive, overwhelmed defensive systems, relativistic kinetic weapons, moving so fast that by the time they were detected, they had already hit, struck from impossible angles. Ships that could jump directly into hostile systems without using standard jump points. Stealth technology that made human vessels invisible until they wanted to be seen. Where did they get this? A Vraxian admiral demanded, watching her battle group get torn apart by weapons she couldn't even target. The answer was simple. Humans had always had it. They just never showed it. 50 years of playing the loyal junior member, secretly developing technology they hoped they would never need to use against their allies. The betrayal had removed any reason to hide. Marcus Webb stood on the bridge of the Defiant, coordinating strikes across 17 systems simultaneously. His ship had become the mobile command center for humanity's scattered fleet. Thanks to Yuki's network, distance meant nothing. He could talk to a captain on the other side of the galaxy as easily as someone in the next room. Target the Selkathi weapons depot at Sector 778, he ordered. Civilian warnings go out first. 6-hour evacuation window. Then we turn it into a crater. Sir? His communications officer hesitated. The Selkathi actually believed they were defending themselves. They didn't know it was a setup. They still voted to expel us, Marcus said coldly. They still supported seizing our colonies. Ignorance isn't innocence, but we're giving them time to evacuate because, unlike them, we don't murder the innocent. The officer nodded and sent the warning. This was humanity's pattern. 6 to 24 hours warning for military targets near population centers. Civilians always given time to flee. Then complete annihilation of the military infrastructure. No negotiations, no second chances. They kept a running count. 38 species to punish. Each message buoy updated the number. 35 more. 33 more. 30 more. The psychological impact was devastating. Every morning, leaders of the betrayer species woke up wondering if today was their turn. Would they wake to find their defenses gone, their fleets disabled, their infrastructure burning? The fear was worse than the attacks themselves. Some species tried to fight back. The Korvathi Empire assembled its largest battle fleet in history. 8,000 warships. They hunted for the main human force, determined to end this through superior numbers. They found humanity's fleet near a dead star system. 500 human ships faced 8,000 council vessels. This is your last chance, Admiral Kreth broadcast. Surrender now. Face justice through proper channels. You cannot defeat these numbers. Commander Webb's response was cold. Watch us. The battle lasted 7 minutes. Human ships danced through enemy formations using impossible maneuvers. Their weapons powered by zero-point energy extraction that council scientists thought theoretical never ran out of ammunition or power. Every shot calculated by quantum computers. Every movement coordinated through instantaneous communication. The Korvathi fleet was designed for traditional warfare. Ship-to-ship combat. Boarding actions, siege tactics. They were unprepared for enemies that fought like a swarm mind, that could predict their movements before they made them, that wielded weapons generations beyond council standard. When the battle ended, 6,000 Korvathi ships floated dead in space. Their crews alive but their vessels disabled, systems fried by electromagnetic pulses that left life support intact. The human fleet had lost 12 ships. Marcus broadcast. To every disabled vessel. You came here to exterminate the species whose children you murdered. Now you get to drift in space and think about what you've done. Rescue ships will arrive in 3 days. We could have killed all of you. Remember that we chose not to. The message spread across the galaxy. Humanity wasn't just winning. They were dominating. The species that the Council thought primitive and easily crushed was systematically taking apart empires that had ruled space for millennia. High Arbiter Velthos watched his grand alliance fall apart. Species were withdrawing from the Council. Some openly negotiated with humanity, desperate for peace terms. Others focused on defending their remaining assets, abandoning any pretense of unified action. The 9 loyal species, protected by human fleets, prospered. Trade routes opened between them and humanity. Technology sharing agreements were signed. They became the bridge between the scattered humans and the rest of the galaxy. Velthos made one final desperate gamble. If he couldn't defeat humanity militarily, he would hurt them diplomatically. He issued an order from his secured command center. Begin military operations against the 9 loyal species. Force humanity to spread their forces thin. Make them choose between revenge and protection. The order was intercepted within seconds. Human intelligence, vastly improved by quantum computing and AI analysis, had penetrated every Council communication network. They knew about Velthos's plan before his own admirals did. The Defiant appeared in orbit above the Korvathi homeworld, not attacking, just there, waiting. Marcus Webb's message broadcast across every channel. High Arbiter Velthos, you have 24 hours to surrender yourself for trial. If you refuse, if you issue that order to attack the 9 loyal species, we will not glass your homeworld. That would be too quick. Instead, we will dismantle your civilization piece by piece. Every colony, every station, every ship, every facility, one at a time, over years if necessary, until the Korvathi Empire exists only in history books as a cautionary tale about betraying humanity. He paused, letting that sink in. Your people don't have to suffer for your crimes. Turn yourself over for justice. Face trial for genocide. That's the mercy we're offering, the same mercy you showed our children. Velthos stared at the ultimatum. His empire was falling, his fleets defeated, his allies abandoning him, and now humans threatened to make an example of his entire species for his decisions. For the first time in his long life, the High Arbiter felt true fear. In his throne room, surrounded by guards who now looked at him with doubt, Velthos made his choice. He could surrender and face justice, or he could gamble everything on one final confrontation. He chose confrontation. Ready all remaining fleets. Bring them to the homeworld. If humanity wants war, we will give them Armageddon. The message went out. Every Korvathi ship in space received the recall. They would make their stand at the homeworld, win or die. Marcus received the response and allowed himself a sad smile. They chose death. Very well. Begin Operation Judgment. The human fleet had been waiting for this moment. Everything had led here, time to end it. The Korvathi homeworld of Korvath Prime had never seen so many ships. Every available vessel in their empire had answered the recall. Nearly 4,000 warships formed defensive formations around the planet. Millions of ground troops stood ready. Orbital defense platforms powered up weapons that had protected this world for 10,000 years. High Arbiter Velthos stood in his command center, watching the displays. Let them come. We will show them that the Korvathi Empire does not surrender. The human fleet arrived not with thousands of ships, but with 12. 12 massive vessels that dwarf anything the Council had ever built. Kilometer-long dreadnoughts bristling with weapons, powered by energy sources that made suns look dim. These were not the ships humans had shown the Council. These were the warships humanity built when they stopped pretending to be weak. Commander Marcus Webb's face appeared on every screen across Korvath Prime. This is your final warning. Surrender High Arbiter Velthos and those who conspired in the genocide. You have 1 hour. After that, we demonstrate why you should have thought harder before murdering our children. Velthos sneered. 12 ships against 4,000. They are insane. His fleet admiral wasn't so confident. Sir, our intelligence suggests those vessels are beyond anything we've encountered. Perhaps we should consider— No surrender, Velthos roared. Attack! The Korvathi fleet charged. 4,000 ships against 12. What followed wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. The human dreadnoughts didn't dodge or run. They simply activated defensive shields that bent space itself. Korvathi weapons hit the shields and scattered, redirected harmlessly into empty space. Some shots actually curved back and hit the ships that fired them. Then humanity showed what real weapons looked like. Directed energy beams, drawing power from artificial singularities, carved through Korvathi ships like a knife through paper. Each human dreadnought could fire simultaneously at dozens of targets with computer-perfect accuracy. Ships that took years to build were reduced to debris in seconds. Kinetic weapons, accelerated to 99% light speed by linear accelerators hundreds of meters long, punched through shields and armor as if they didn't exist. By the time sensors detected them, they had already struck. And then there were the quantum torpedoes, weapons that existed in multiple states simultaneously until they hit their target. Impossible to intercept because they were everywhere and nowhere until impact. When they detonated, they didn't just destroy ships. They unmade them, reducing matter to its component atoms. In 17 minutes, the Korvathi fleet was gone. Not defeated. Not retreating. Simply gone. 4,000 ships reduced to debris fields and disabled hulks. The crews alive but their vessels dead, floating helplessly in space. The human dreadnoughts hadn't taken a single hit. On Korvath Prime, alarms screamed. The orbital defenses, pride of the Empire, fired everything they had at the human vessels. The weapons that had defended this world for millennia couldn't even reach the human shields. Marcus broadcast again. Your military is defeated. Your fleet is disabled. Your defenses are meaningless. But we are not here to slaughter your people. We are here for justice. High Arbiter Velthos, your time is up. In his command center, Velthos found himself surrounded not by loyal guards, but by his own generals. They had made their choice. It's over, his fleet admiral said quietly. You committed genocide in our name. You started a war we cannot win. You will face justice, or you will face alone whatever humanity does next. Velthos looked at the screens showing human dreadnoughts hanging over his world like executioners. He had ruled for 3 centuries. He had built an empire, and in 3 months humanity had torn it all down. I did this for the good of the galaxy, he whispered. You murdered children in their sleep, the admiral replied. You call that good? Guards seized Velthos. Within an hour, he was in Korvathi custody, bound for surrender to human forces. The message went out to all 38 betrayer species. The architect of the genocide is in custody. The Korvathi Empire has surrendered. You have 72 hours to follow their example, or face complete military dismantling. Your choice. One by one, they surrendered. The species who had voted for genocide, who had thought humanity weak and easily destroyed, now begged for mercy. They offered reparations. They offered territory. They offered anything to avoid the systematic destruction they had witnessed. Humanity's terms were simple and non-negotiable. Full reparations for the 45,000 dead. Every family compensated, every loss acknowledged. Complete disarmament of offensive military capabilities. Defense fleets only, restricted to home systems, war crime tribunals. Every official who participated in the conspiracy would face justice, constitutional reforms, democratic representation, individual rights. No more absolute rulers who could order genocide on a whim, and finally, humanity would hold permanent veto power in any reformed galactic government. 10 species refused initially. Within weeks, their governments fell to internal revolutions. Citizens who had learned what their leaders did, who saw their fleets destroyed and their economies collapsing, rose up. Some of those revolutions had human help, covert operations, intelligence support, strategic supply drops to resistance groups. Humanity had learned something during their 50 years in the Council. Revolution from within was more effective than conquest from without. The Galactic War Crimes Tribunal began 6 months after the betrayal. It was held on neutral ground, on a station built by the 9 loyal species. Judges came from species who had taken no part in the conspiracy. Humanity provided evidence but did not sit in judgment. High Arbiter Velthos and 217 officials from 38 species faced charges of genocide, conspiracy, and crimes against sentient species. The evidence was overwhelming. The falsified transponder codes, the planted weapons, the secret meeting recordings that human intelligence had recovered. Every detail of the conspiracy laid bare. Velthos tried to defend himself. We did what was necessary. Humanity was a threat to galactic stability. They bred too fast, innovated too quickly, questioned too much. In another century, they would have dominated the Council through numbers and technology. We acted to preserve the natural order. Ambassador Sarah Chen recovered from her ordeal, and now humanity's voice at the tribunal responded, "You were afraid of us. Afraid we would treat you the way you had treated younger species for millennia. Afraid we would demand equality instead of accepting our place. So you tried to kill us all. 45,000 children paid for your fear. Now you pay for theirs." The verdict came after 3 weeks of testimony. Guilty on all counts. Velthos received life imprisonment in a human-designed facility. Not torture, not execution, just imprisonment, in a cell where he would spend the rest of his long life thinking about the children he had murdered. The other conspirators received sentences ranging from decades to life, depending on their involvement. Their wealth was seized for reparations. Their names became synonymous with betrayal across the galaxy. A new galactic council formed from the ashes of the old. It had 47 member species, but the rules had changed. No more secret votes. No more absolute authority for elder species. Every member had equal voice, except humanity. Humans held special status, permanent veto power, the right to maintain unrestricted military forces, and guaranteed protection for any species that requested it. The 9 loyal species who had warned humanity received preferential status. Trade agreements, technology sharing, military alliances. They had shown honor when 38 species chose betrayal, and humanity never forgot. Human territory expanded, but not through conquest. Dozens of smaller species, seeing what happened to those who betrayed humanity, and what happened to those who showed them loyalty, petitioned to join the human sphere. They wanted protection from empires that might do to them what the Korvathi tried to do to humanity. Marcus Webb retired from active military command but stayed on as strategic advisor. His final report to Earth Command was simple. "We won the war. Now we have to make sure we never become what we fought against." Dr. Yuki Tanaka survived the quantum network activation. Barely. She spent months in recovery, her body damaged by the experimental technology, but the network remained, connecting humanity across impossible distances. She received humanity's highest scientific honor and immediately went back to work, pushing boundaries that other species thought impossible. Sarah Chen addressed the new Galactic Council at its first official session. 50 years ago, humanity joined your alliance in good faith. We bled for you. We trusted you, and you repaid that trust with genocide. We gave you friendship. You gave us 45,000 dead. We gave you justice. Remember which is mercy?" She paused, looking at each ambassador in turn. The old council thought it could erase humanity without consequence. They learned otherwise. Let this be a lesson that echoes for millennia. You do not betray humanity twice. There is no twice.
We ended empires that lasted 10,000 years in less than 1 year.
We did it with technology you didn't know existed, using strategies you couldn't predict, showing mercy you didn't deserve. We are not conquerors. We are not empire builders. But we are very, very good at making sure those who hurt us never get the chance to hurt anyone else. Remember this the next time someone suggests that younger species should know their place. Remember what happened to those who forgot that intelligence and innovation matter more than age and tradition. The galaxy remembered. A new phrase entered common usage across 1,000 worlds. Don't betray the humans. Children learned the story in schools. The council that thought it could erase a species. The 45,000 children who died in their sleep. The revenge that followed, systematic and terrible and just. The trials. The new order. The betrayer species recovered eventually. Their economies rebuilt. Their populations grew. But they were forever diminished. Forever remembered as the ones who tried to commit genocide and failed. The 9 loyal species prospered. Their loyalty rewarded with technology and protection and friendship that would last centuries. And humanity? They remained vigilant. Their fleet stayed at full strength. Their technology continued advancing. They never forgot what happened when they trusted blindly. On Earth, a memorial was built. 45,000 names carved in stone. Families visited and remembered. Children who never got to see their new world. Scientists who never completed their research. Couples who never got to grow old together. Above the memorial, words in every human language and galactic common. They tried to erase us. We made sure the galaxy would never forget them, or us. A young alien visiting Earth with their parents stopped at the memorial. They read the names, read the story, finally asked the question, why did they betray the humans? The parent, who had lived through those times, answered quietly, because they forgot to ask what humans do to their enemies. They learned. Everyone learned. The child looked at the endless names. Will it happen again? No, the parent said with certainty, because now everyone knows. You don't betray humanity twice. There is no twice. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and humanity made sure that lesson would never be forgotten.